Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is Friday, Diamondbacks World Series Friday. So we're going to have some fun tonight. I know the whole city of Phoenix is getting behind these guys. We're never expected to make it, but we're not here to talk about baseball. We'll talk about that another day. We're here to talk about real estate, especially subject to real estate. Well, I'm going to keep bringing this to you. These are the deals that are happening right now. If you're a buyer or an investor or just a person that wants to diversify, real estate's one of the most powerful wealth building tools out there. But right now we got 8% interest rates, which are just killing deals. There's not a lot of buyers out there, which is kind of weird because I think of when everybody else is doing something, I do the opposite. Like right now, there's no competition. You can go in and get year terms, an inspection, an appraisal. You can take your time. You don't have to submit a same-day offer bidding against 4 other people. You get a better price. That's the environment we're right now. These 8% interest rates are keeping everybody out, but it's really the most opportunistic time to buy. Our population's growing. Inflation is absolutely insane. Do you think real estate's actually going to go down in price anytime soon? Maybe temporarily for a little bit, if even that. But if interest rates go back down, we have a huge pent-up demand. Prices are going to skyrocket. There's going to be bidding wars. Everybody who's been waiting on the sidelines since COVID started because there was prices going up like crazy and bidding wars and now high interest rates. If you don't start buying some real estate, I hate to say it, and I don't want this for anybody, definitely not my family. I'm buying everything I can right now, that it's going to be unaffordable to buy real estate. You might miss out on one of the best wealth building opportunities. Look at properties when your parents were kids. How much did properties cost? We never owned. I was always a renter when I was a kid, but I remember seeing my parents' first house. It was $80,000. Same house is probably worth $1 million today, which is just crazy. You can't buy anything, no house that I know of for $80,000, especially in Phoenix these days. Anyways, I'll get off there. We're going to talk about seller finance real estate. I'm still buying everything I can. I'm just not doing it the traditional route. I'm looking for taking over payments on somebody else's mortgage. Sometimes there's no mortgage, and that's called a seller carry. So we're going to talk about that today, the advantages of that for a seller, which is really a higher price and way more interested buyers and more cash in pocket a lot of the time. And for buyers, the obvious thing is not having to go to a bank and qualify and pay 8% interest rate. At 8% interest rate, it's almost impossible to find something that's a break even or cash flow deal. For every 1% interest rate, that's 10% more payment. Now that's temporary. They always say, marry the property, date the rate. I believe what is most lenders have made popular. So definitely there's a chance to refinance that. But I'm like, I just want to buy properties that break even a day in cash flow. So we're going to look at that. Right now, I have a cabin that we're going to talk about in Show Low, Arizona. This is available for purchase right now. I love this because it's a 3-hour drive from the Phoenix area. There's a little town in the White Mountains called Show Low, Arizona. This town used to be about 6,000 people. I looked at 1997. Now it's about 12,000 people. So it's growing up there. Let's face it, it gets really hot in the summer here in Phoenix. People need an escape from the heat. But also when it's snowing and nice up there like this time of year, people want to get out from Phoenix. So I think it's going to keep growing up there. We're going to continue to see the popularity of Airbnb rise up there. But let's talk about this deal specifically. Now, as we're starting to pull up the visuals on this property, I'm just going to go through the terms and price of the deal. So this is in, the address here is 7083 East Breeze Lane in Show Low, Arizona. The purchase price is $430,000. Now, that's probably a little bit more than it would sell on the market, but in the case of seller finance or creative finance, most buyers pay more. That's part of the deal. On this deal, there's a 2.6% interest rate. So buying the same deal at 8% interest rate, you're actually paying 50% lower payment. This payment's just under $2,000, and $600 of that is the taxes insurance, which are really high. I think there's opportunity to get that down, to get this payment closer to $1,600 or $1,700 a month, and that's what we're going to try to do. But down payment on this property is just over 10%, $45,000. The closing cost on it is typically somewhere between 1% and 2% total between the buyer and seller. Probably expect about an entry fee on this. That's all things together, how much cash you got to bring up front, for $55,000. Now, there's a mortgage remaining. After you give that to the seller, there's 2 parts to this. This isn't a subject to deal. This is part subject to deal and part seller finance, which is their own equity. They're becoming the bank financing you. When you put subject to and seller finance together, that's called a hybrid deal, and that's what we're talking about today. So the remaining balance on that mortgage is $338,000. The interest rate, which I absolutely love, is 2.625%. 0%. Unheard of. Seller finance portion, $46,000, $560 after the down payment will be owed to the seller. Payments on that are going to be on a 30-year amortization, which is different than the balloon payment when it's due in full. So we spread it over 30 years at 0% interest to keep the deal affordable. And we put a balloon on it so the seller can get their money in a reasonable time. In this case, we have 60 months or 5 years that everything not paid on their payments for the next 60 months, everything remaining will be paid to the seller in one lump sum in 5 years. What we typically know about real estate is that it goes up in value over time. Not always, but there's never been a 10-year period in the last 100 years where real estate today isn't worth more than it is in 10 years. Even with the crash of 2008, 2009, by 2018, the prices were higher than they were in 2008, just a note there. All in, you're $2,000 and $47,000 on that payment a month. Again, $600 of that is taxes and insurance. Now, what I understand I'm looking into is the insurance is getting caught up through escrow, and that's why it's $600 a month, which is about a third of the payment. Get that $600 a month down to where it should be, which is between $200 and $300 on a property of this value. Now we're talking some serious cash flow. Now we're talking a payment on a cabin 3 hours from Phoenix, just over $1,600 a month. That's insane. Now, I talked about the balloon payment. The best way to rent this is a short-term rental today. And that's probably going to be the best way to operate, especially if you're living in Phoenix. You know, you want to get out in the summer. You want to control the calendar. That's why you do short-term rental, in my opinion. I mean, there's usually, you can make a little bit more than renting, but it's more work. But the reason I do that in this case is because I want to be able to go to the cabin when I want. So that's the deal on this one. Your short-term rental comps are anywhere from like $26,000 to $30,000 range. So you're going to at least be able to make those payments. Is it worth it to you? I don't know. It depends if you want to go up there a few times a year. But that's the deal on this one. It's cabin 3 hours. This one is under contract. I'm open to potentially partner on this. I'm going to keep bringing these deals. There's a lot of people out there that still want to sell and still want to buy. But like I said, the numbers are hard to work at 8% interest rate. And I know 8% isn't that big of a deal to our parents, but hey, real estate is way more expensive now. So reach out if you're interested in this deal or others. You can like, follow, subscribe. I don't only just put deals on here, but I like to put investor content. That's where I started. That's how I got into real estate as an agent. I was an investor first. So I'll be coming with that. I've been doing videos every week, but we're going to kick that up. I'm going to try to do a video unscripted like today, more authentic content. I'm going to be bringing it to you 2 or 3 days, and you know, you're going to get me. It's not always easy, but I'm going to bring you authentic stuff, the raw Andrew and the content, what I believe is going on in real estate. And I would love to see you on the next video. Go D-backs.